Hello, and a warm welcome to the very first episode of the Finance Talks podcast. I'm Ryan, and I couldn't be more excited to start this journey with you. This is a space where we'll talk about finance in simple, practical terms, so you can take charge of your money and achieve your goals. Joining me, as always, is Priya, my co-host. Priya, this being our first episode, how are you feeling about the start of this amazing journey?
Hi, Ryan, and hello to all our listeners. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here and to kick off what I hope will be an inspiring and helpful podcast for everyone listening. We've created this channel to make finance accessible, practical, and empowering. Whether you're just starting out with financial planning or looking to refine your strategies, this podcast is for you. Ryan, today's topic is especially important, isn't it?
Absolutely, Priya. In this first episode, we're diving into one of the most fundamental concepts in personal finance: how to set smart financial goals. And when we say smart, we're talking about goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. These aren't just buzzwords. They're a proven framework to help you take your financial planning to the next level. But before we get into the details, why do you think setting financial goals is so important, Priya?
That's a great question, Ryan, and such an important place to start. Setting financial goals gives you direction. Without clear goals, it's easy to feel like you're working hard but not making any real progress. Think about it. If you don't know where you're going, how will you ever get there? Smart goals provide clarity and focus. They turn vague aspirations like saving money or getting out of debt into actionable plans. And for many people, that shift can be life-changing. I'm really excited to break this down today.
Exactly, Priya. You know, I often think about how much time and energy people spend earning money, but so few actually take the time to plan how they'll use it. That's where SMART goals come in. They make your efforts intentional and measurable. Whether it's saving for a vacation, building an emergency fund, or planning for retirement, SMART goals help you take control. And the best part is, once you start seeing results, it becomes easier to stay motivated.
Yes. And what I love most about SMART goals is how they simplify something that can feel overwhelming. By the end of this episode, we'll give you everything you need to start setting your own smart financial goals and taking meaningful steps toward financial success. So if you're ready to create a clear and actionable plan for your money, let's dive into this together.
All right. Let's dive right into understanding SMART goals. So far, we've talked about why setting clear financial goals is important, and now we're going to break down what makes a goal SMART. Let's start with the S in SMART, which stands for specific. This is all about defining clear and precise goals. For example, instead of saying, "I want to save money," a specific goal would be, "I want to save $5,000 for an emergency fund in the next 12 months." Do you see how much clarity that brings? Priya, why do you think being specific is such a game changer?
Great question, Ryan. And it really is a game changer. Specific goals give you a clear target to aim for. When you're vague, it's easy to lose focus or even forget what you were working towards. But when you're specific, you can actually visualize your goal, which makes it easier to stay motivated. For instance, if you know you're saving $5,000 for an emergency fund, you can calculate how much to save each month, track your progress, and adjust if needed. That level of clarity removes guesswork and keeps you on track. And that brings us to the second letter, M, for measurable. Ryan, why is it so important to make goals measurable?
That's a crucial point, Priya. Measurable goals allow you to track your progress and know when you've achieved them. If a goal isn't measurable, you'll have no way of knowing if you're moving closer to it. For example, let's stick with the $5,000 emergency fund goal. You can measure your progress by checking your savings account every month to see if you're adding the $417 you need to reach that amount in a year. This kind of measurable tracking not only shows you how far you've come, but also keeps you accountable. Now let's talk about the third piece of the puzzle, A for achievable. What are your thoughts on this one, Priya?
Achievable. This one's so important, Ryan, because it's about being realistic. Goals should challenge you, yes, but they also need to be attainable. Setting a goal that's impossible to achieve is discouraging and can make you feel like giving up. For example, saving $5,000 in a year might be achievable if you have the income and discipline to do it. But saying you'll save $50,000 in that same year might be unrealistic for most people, depending on their financial situation. Achievable goals are all about finding that sweet spot, challenging but doable. And then we move on to R, which stands for relevant. Ryan, why is relevance such a key factor? Achievable. This one's so important, Ryan, because it's about being realistic. Goals should challenge you, yes, but they also need to be attainable. Setting a goal that's impossible to achieve is discouraging and can make you feel like giving up. For example, saving $5,000 in a year might be achievable if you have the income and discipline to do it. But saying you'll save $50,000 in that same year might be unrealistic for most people, depending on their financial situation. Achievable goals are all about finding that sweet spot, challenging but doable. And then we move on to R, which stands for relevant. Ryan, why is relevance such a key factor?
Relevance is essential, Priya, because it ties your goals to what truly matters to you. A relevant goal is one that aligns with your values, priorities, and overall life plan. For instance, if you value financial security, building an emergency fund or paying off debt is a relevant goal. But if your goal doesn't resonate with what you care about, it's harder to stay committed. Relevance is what keeps you emotionally connected to your goals, and that emotional connection is often the difference between sticking to a plan and giving up. Finally, let's talk about the last letter, T, for time-bound. Priya, why does having a deadline make such a big difference?
It makes all the difference, Ryan. Time-bound goals create urgency and structure. When you set a deadline, you're giving yourself a time frame to work within, which helps you prioritize and stay focused. For example, saying, I want to save $5,000 is one thing, but adding, by the end of 12 months, completely changes how you approach it. Deadlines push you to take consistent action. They also help you measure progress in a way that keeps you motivated, knowing that you've hit milestones along the way. And when all these elements, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, come together, you have a framework that makes even the biggest financial goals feel achievable.
Absolutely. SMART goals simplify the process, but they're also incredibly powerful. They take the guesswork out of goal setting and give you a clear path to follow. Now that we've unpacked the SMART framework, let's talk about why this approach is so powerful. Setting SMART financial goals has some incredible benefits that go beyond just managing your money. First and foremost, it provides clarity in financial planning. Priya, when your goals are clear and well-defined, how does that impact the way people approach their finances?
That's such a good starting point, Ryan, because clarity is everything. When your goals are specific, measurable, and time-bound, you eliminate confusion. You know exactly what you're working toward and what steps to take. For example, instead of vaguely thinking, I need to save more money, you might set a goal like, save $3,000 for a family vacation by next summer. Suddenly, your financial decisions become more focused. You'll start making choices, like cutting back on dining out or setting up automatic transfers, that align with that clear objective. Clarity makes your financial journey feel more manageable and organized. What do you think, Ryan? How does that connect to motivation?
Great point, Priya. Clarity feeds directly into motivation and focus. When you know exactly what you're aiming for, it's easier to stay driven. Think about it. If you're saving for a vacation, every dollar you put aside feels like a step closer to your dream trip. That tangible progress keeps you motivated. Plus, SMART goals keep you focused by eliminating distractions. You're less likely to splurge on unnecessary expenses when you've got a clear plan in place. Motivation and focus are key drivers of success, and SMART goals help you harness both. Priya, what about decision-making? How does having SMART goals improve that?
Oh, it's a game changer for decision-making, Ryan. When your goals are SMART, every financial choice you make becomes intentional. Let's say you're faced with a decision like buying a new gadget or sticking to your savings plan. If you've set a SMART goal, it's easier to weigh the options and prioritize what truly matters. For instance, if you know you're saving $10,000 for a down payment on a home, that goal will guide your decisions. You'll start asking yourself, does this expense help me get closer to my goal? Or is it taking me further away? Over time, this kind of intentional decision-making builds stronger financial habits. And that leads us to another important benefit: increased accountability. What are your thoughts on that, Ryan?
Accountability is such an underrated benefit, Priya. When your goals are SMART, they're not just vague ideas floating around in your head. They're written down, measurable, and tied to a timeline. This makes it much easier to hold yourself accountable. For example, if you've committed to saving $500 a month, you can check in at the end of each month to see if you've hit that target. If you haven't, you can identify what went wrong and make adjustments. SMART goals also make it easier to involve others, whether it's a friend, a financial advisor, or a family member who can help keep you on track. Priya, do you think accountability also helps with long-term progress?
Absolutely, Ryan. Accountability isn't just about checking off boxes in the short term. It's about building discipline and consistency over time. When you know you're tracking your progress and holding yourself responsible, it becomes a habit. And habits are what create lasting change. Whether it's paying off debt, building an emergency fund, or investing for retirement, the accountability that comes with SMART goals keeps you moving forward. And let's not forget, when you start seeing results, it's incredibly rewarding. That sense of accomplishment motivates you to set and achieve even bigger goals.
Exactly, Priya. And that's why we can't stress enough how powerful SMART goals are. They give you clarity, keep you motivated and focused, improve your decision-making, and ensure you stay accountable. When you put all these benefits together, you're setting yourself up for financial success. Now that we've explored the benefits of SMART financial goals, let's shift gears and dive into how you can create your own. We're going to break this down into 5 actionable steps. First up, evaluating your current financial situation. Priya, why is this such a crucial starting point?
It's absolutely essential, Ryan. Before setting any goals, you need to understand where you currently stand financially. Think of it like using a map. If you don't know your starting point, how will you plan the best route to your destination? Start by looking at your income, expenses, savings, and debts. Write everything down so you have a clear picture. For example, how much do you spend on essentials like housing, food, and transportation? How much is left over each month? This evaluation helps you identify areas where you might need to cut back or where you can allocate funds toward your goals. Ryan, how do you think this step sets the stage for the next one?
It's all about building a foundation, Priya. Once you have a clear understanding of your current financial situation, you can start defining your long-term and short-term priorities. Step 2. Long-term priorities could be things like saving for retirement or buying a house, while short-term ones might include paying off credit card debt or saving for a vacation. The key is to balance both. For instance, if you're only focused on long-term goals, you might miss out on smaller wins that keep you motivated. And if you only think short-term, you might neglect your future needs. Priya, how do you recommend people approach this balance?
It's about creating a mix, Ryan. Start by brainstorming what you want to achieve in the next 1 to 3 years versus the next 10 to 20 years. Then, prioritize them based on urgency and importance. For example, building an emergency fund might be a top short-term priority, while investing for retirement could be a key long-term one. Once you've identified your priorities, it's time for step 3, writing down your goals using the SMART framework. Ryan, this is where everything comes together. How should people approach writing SMART goals?
This step is where clarity meets action, Priya. When you write down your goals, make sure they're specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. For example, instead of saying, "I want to save money," a SMART goal would be, "I want to save $5,000 for a down payment on a car within 12 months." You're being specific about the amount and purpose, measurable by tracking progress, achievable within your budget, relevant to your needs, and time-bound with a 12-month deadline. Writing goals this way makes them real and actionable. Priya, what's the next step once these SMART goals are written?
Step 4 is to break those goals into smaller, manageable tasks. This is so important because large goals can feel overwhelming if you look at them as a whole. For example, if your goal is to save $5,000 in a year, break it down into monthly savings of $417. Then, think about the steps to make that happen. Cutting discretionary spending, setting up automatic transfers, or finding ways to increase your income. By focusing on smaller tasks, you create momentum and build confidence. Ryan, how does this step help with staying on track over time?
Breaking goals into smaller steps makes everything feel more achievable, Priya. It also gives you a roadmap to follow, which ties directly into Step 5, monitoring progress and making adjustments. Life is unpredictable, and things don't always go as planned. Maybe an unexpected expense comes up, or you realize you can save more than you thought. Monitoring your progress regularly, say every month, helps you stay accountable and make adjustments as needed. For instance, if you're ahead of schedule on saving, you could allocate extra funds toward another goal. Priya, how do you think people should approach this step without feeling discouraged by setbacks?
That's such an important point, Ryan. Monitoring progress isn't just about tracking numbers, it's also about staying flexible and positive. If you encounter setbacks, don't see them as failures. See them as opportunities to adjust. For example, if you miss a savings target one month, look at what caused it and find ways to get back on track the next. Celebrate small wins along the way to keep your momentum going. Remember, financial planning is a marathon, not a sprint. The key is to keep moving forward. And with these 5 steps, evaluating your situation, defining priorities, writing SMART goals, breaking them down, and monitoring progress, you'll have a solid plan to achieve your financial dreams.
Exactly, Priya. SMART financial goals aren't just a framework, they're a tool to transform your financial future. Now that you know how to create them, it's time to start applying these steps in your own life. All right, now that we've covered how to create SMART financial goals, let's talk about something equally important: what not to do. Setting financial goals can be transformative, but there are common mistakes that can derail your progress. Let's start with the first one: setting vague or unrealistic goals. Priya, why is this such a common trap?
That's a great place to start, Ryan, because it's something so many people struggle with. When goals are vague, they lack direction. Saying, "I want to save money," doesn't give you any clarity or steps to follow. On the other hand, unrealistic goals can be equally damaging. For example, if someone earning $2,500 a month sets a goal to save $2,000 every month, it's just not practical. They're setting themselves up for frustration and failure. The key is to find that balance between being ambitious and being realistic. Ryan, how can people identify whether their goals are vague or unrealistic?
Great question, Priya. It comes down to asking yourself 2 things. Can I clearly define this goal? And is this achievable given my current resources and situation? If the answer to either question is no, then it's time to refine the goal. For instance, instead of saying, "I want to save a lot of money," say, "I want to save $500 a month for the next 12 months. This makes it specific and realistic, and that ties directly into the next mistake: ignoring the importance of measurable progress. Priya, what happens when people skip this step?
Oh, Ryan, skipping measurable progress is like driving without a speedometer. You have no idea how fast or slow you're going. Tracking progress is what keeps you on course. For example, if your goal is to pay off $10,000 of debt in a year and you're not checking your progress, you won't know if you're ahead, behind, or right on track. Worse, you might lose motivation because you're not seeing the small wins along the way. When you measure your progress, monthly or even weekly, it reinforces your commitment and gives you the data you need to make adjustments. Ryan, have you seen how this lack of measurement can lead to bigger issues?
Absolutely, Priya. Without measurable progress, it's easy to feel lost or overwhelmed. You might start doubting whether your goal is even achievable, which can lead to giving up altogether. And that brings us to the third mistake, overlooking flexibility and adaptability. Life is unpredictable, and sticking rigidly to a plan without allowing room for adjustments can be a major pitfall. Priya, how can people stay flexible while still working toward their goals?
Flexibility is key, Ryan. Financial plans should act as a guide, not a strict set of rules. For example, let's say you've set a goal to save $500 a month, but an unexpected car repair comes up, and you can only save $200 that month. Instead of seeing that as a failure, adjust your plan. Maybe you save an extra $100 over the next 3 months to make up for it. Flexibility allows you to adapt to life's challenges without losing sight of your ultimate goal. And honestly, being adaptable can make the process feel less stressful and more sustainable. Ryan, what's your take on people who focus only on short-term gains?
That's a big one, Priya. Focusing solely on short-term gains can limit your long-term potential. For instance, someone might prioritize saving for a vacation, but neglect building an emergency fund or contributing to retirement savings. While short-term goals are important and rewarding, they shouldn't come at the expense of your future financial stability. A balanced approach is essential. You can save for short-term goals while also investing in your long-term financial health. Priya, how do you recommend people strike this balance?
It's all about prioritization, Ryan. Identify your long-term goals first, like buying a house or retiring comfortably, and then allocate a portion of your budget to short-term goals that bring joy and fulfillment. For example, you might decide to save 70% of your disposable income for long-term goals and 30% for short-term ones. The idea is to enjoy the present without jeopardizing your future. And to tie it all together, avoiding these mistakes. Being vague, neglecting measurable progress, resisting flexibility, and focusing only on short-term gains can make all the difference in staying on track.
Exactly, Priya. By steering clear of these common mistakes, you'll not only set yourself up for success, but also make the process of reaching your financial goals more enjoyable and sustainable. Now that we've discussed the common mistakes to avoid, let's bring all of this to life with some real-world examples of smart financial goals. These examples will show how the framework can work for different priorities and situations. Let's start with a classic one: saving for an emergency fund. Priya, how would someone turn this into a smart goal?
That's a great example to begin with, Ryan, because having an emergency fund is foundational for financial security. A smart goal for this might look like this. Save $6,000 for an emergency fund within 12 months by saving $500 per month. This goal is specific because it states exactly how much you want to save and for what purpose. It's measurable because you can track your monthly progress. It's achievable if you've reviewed your budget and determined that $500 a month is feasible. It's relevant because an emergency fund aligns with almost everyone's financial priorities, and it's time-bound with a clear 12-month deadline. Ryan, how does this compare to another common goal, like paying off credit card debt?
Great breakdown, Priya. Paying off credit card debt is another excellent example of how smart goals can make a daunting task more manageable. For instance, let's say someone has $6,000 in credit card debt and wants to pay it off in a year. Their SMART goal could be pay off $6,000 in credit card debt within 12 months by paying $500 a month and allocating any extra income toward the balance. Again, this is specific and measurable with clear dollar amounts and a timeline. It's achievable if they can adjust their budget or find additional sources of income. It's relevant because reducing debt improves financial health, and it's time-bound with a 12-month target. Priya, let's shift to something a little more fun: saving for a vacation or wedding. How would you frame this as a SMART goal?
I love this one, Ryan. Saving for joyful events like vacations or weddings can be just as important as tackling financial challenges. For example, let's say you're planning a wedding in 18 months with a budget of $20,000. A SMART goal could be: save $20,000 for my wedding in 18 months by setting aside $1,100 per month and cutting discretionary spending. This goal is specific because it states the amount and purpose. It's measurable with monthly savings targets. It's achievable if you've reviewed your income and expenses to ensure the plan is realistic. It's relevant because it aligns with your personal priorities. And it's time-bound with that 18-month timeline. Ryan, what about something more long-term, like investing in retirement accounts?
Great example, Priya. Long-term goals like investing for retirement are perfect for the SMART framework. For instance, someone might say, I want to contribute $10,000 to my retirement account by the end of this year by depositing $833 per month and using my annual bonus to cover the rest. This goal is specific because it defines the amount and purpose. It's measurable by tracking monthly contributions. It's achievable if the person has the income to support it. It's relevant because retirement savings are critical for long-term financial security, and it's time-bound with the year-end deadline. Priya, do you think these examples help people see how versatile SMART goals can be?
Absolutely, Ryan. What I love about these examples is that they show how SMART goals can apply to a wide range of financial priorities. Whether it's building an emergency fund, paying off debt, planning a celebration, or preparing for the future. The key takeaway here is that no matter your financial goal, the SMART framework makes it actionable and achievable. By being specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, you give yourself a clear roadmap to follow, which is empowering and motivating. Ryan, do you think there's one example that resonates more with people starting out?
I think the emergency fund resonates most with people who are just beginning their financial journey, Priya. It's such a fundamental goal that provides peace of mind and stability. Once that's in place, it's easier to tackle bigger goals like debt repayment or retirement savings. The important thing is to start somewhere and use the SMART framework to build momentum. Priya, any final thoughts on these examples before we wrap up?
My final thought, Ryan, is this. These examples are just starting points. Everyone's financial situation is different, so it's important to customize your goals to fit your unique circumstances and priorities. The SMART framework isn't about fitting your life into a rigid plan. It's about creating a plan that works for your life. And once you see the results, you'll realize how powerful this approach can be.
Exactly, Priya. With these examples, we hope you feel inspired to start setting your own SMART financial goals. Now that we've explored examples of SMART financial goals, let's talk about the tools and resources that can help you stay on track and make the process easier. Setting goals is one thing, but managing them effectively requires the right support. Let's start with budgeting apps, Priya. How can these apps make a difference?
Budgeting apps are fantastic tools for anyone looking to take control of their finances, Ryan. Apps like Mint, YNAB, short for You Need a Budget, and Pocket Guard help you track your income, expenses, and savings in real time. For instance, Mint allows you to link your bank accounts and credit cards, giving you a complete picture of your finances. It also lets you set specific savings goals, like building an emergency fund, and tracks your progress automatically. YNAB is more focused on proactive budgeting. It helps you allocate every dollar to a specific purpose, which is perfect for sticking to SMART goals. These apps simplify the process, making it easier to stay organized and motivated. Ryan, what do you think about working with financial planners or coaches?
That's a great point, Priya. Financial planners and coaches can be game changers, especially for people who feel overwhelmed or unsure about where to start. A certified financial planner, CFP, can help you evaluate your current situation, set realistic goals, and create a personalized plan to achieve them. For example, if you're planning for retirement, a financial planner can help you determine how much you need to save and where to invest. Financial coaches, on the other hand, focus more on building healthy financial habits, like budgeting and managing debt. While there's usually a cost involved, the guidance and accountability they provide can be well worth it, especially for long-term goals. Priya, what about online tools and calculators? How can they help?
Online tools and calculators are incredibly useful, Ryan, because they make complex calculations simple and accessible. For example, if you're saving for retirement, a retirement calculator can estimate how much you need to save each month to reach your goal based on factors like your age, income, and expected returns. Debt repayment calculators are another great tool. They show you how long it will take to pay off your debt and how much interest you'll save by increasing your payments. Websites like NerdWallet and Bankrate offer a range of calculators for everything from budgeting to mortgage planning. The best part? Most of these tools are free and easy to use. Ryan, do you think combining these resources is the key to success?
Absolutely, Priya. Each tool or resource has its own strengths, and combining them can give you a comprehensive strategy. For instance, you might use a budgeting app to track your monthly spending, a financial planner to set long-term goals, and online calculators to fine-tune specific plans. Together, they create a robust system that supports your SMART goals from every angle. The key is to find what works best for you and stick with it. Priya, any final tips for choosing the right tools?
My advice, Ryan, is to start simple. If you're new to financial planning, pick one tool, like a budgeting app, and get comfortable with it. As you progress, you can explore other resources, like working with a financial planner or using online calculators. The most important thing is to take that first step. These tools are here to make your life easier, not more complicated, so choose ones that fit seamlessly into your routine.
Well said, Priya. With these tools and resources, you're equipped to set and achieve your SMART financial goals more effectively. To wrap up, today we covered how to set SMART financial goals, the benefits of doing so, and the tools you can use to stay on track. Remember, SMART goals, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, can transform how you manage your finances.
That's right, Ryan. Now it's your turn to take action. Start by creating one SMART financial goal today and see how it brings clarity and focus to your financial planning. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe, share this podcast with friends, and leave us feedback. See you next time on the Finance Talks podcast. Keep striving for your financial dreams.